Yes! Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 3 back exercises that are done wrong at the gym. I see it so often. When I used to be a personal trainer, all I would see when people would jump on these machines, these back machines, is they're doing it wrong, all right? If you do back exercises and you don't feel your back, then chances are 100% guaranteed you are doing it wrong. How do I know that? Well, if you're doing back exercises correctly, you're gonna feel your back correctly, all right? And if you don't, then you wanna make sure you watch this video, okay? I'm gonna share with you the top 3 exercises that I see. I might even throw in one more just in case, okay? So let's get right into it. The very first exercise that is done wrong is the lat pull down, all right? A lot of people, when they do the lat pull down, they use momentum and they're pulling with their arms, all right? I'll show you various examples of how you do this one wrong. Another one is where they're pulling down and then trying to press it down even more, like they're trying to do a muscle up. I don't know how many times I've seen this, but it happens, okay? And I look at those people, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then finally, the last way you can do it incorrectly, which looks like you're doing it correctly, is you're just pulling down really quickly with your arms, okay? Now, I wanna show you the guy in front of me. It looks like this guy is doing it somewhat right, but he's not, right? Let's go back and take a look at that one more time, okay? So the way he's pulling, although he's somewhat upright, he's not engaging his back at all. He's just mainly using his arms. And that is one of the key things that people do wrong when trying to work out their back. They're not using their back. They're using mostly their arms. Okay, so in order to do this correctly, what you want to do, which I'm about to show you right here, is you want to lean forward into the chair or whatever you're sitting on for the lat pull down. You want to lean forward into it, allow the weight. So pull it down a little bit first and then allow the weight to actively stretch out your lats. And from this position, what I do is I pull my cervical spine down a little bit, slightly internally rotate my shoulder so that it's kind of stretching out the front of my shoulder, stretching out my chest a little bit, and then my cervical spine, my upper spine, the neck region, it's kind of elongating. Everything is being stretched out. And then once I find a nice solid position, it feels like my body is nice and balanced and elongated. What I do is I anchor my knees underneath that knee pad, and then I lean back, pop my chest out, drive with my elbows, all right? I focus on my elbows, not my arms, my elbows, my back, my lats, and I pinch my shoulder blades together, and then as I'm going up, I'm controlling it up, all right? So notice how I'm keeping my chest up, I'm erecting my spine, almost like I'm trying to arch my back, but I'm just popping my chest out and then allowing the weight to control and pull myself back, okay? I'm focusing my back, allowing the weight to stretch my lats out upwards as I'm controlling the weight back. So I'm focusing on my elbows as I'm pulling down, inhaling, popping my chest out, squeezing my back, and then controlling the weight back up, allowing the weight to stretch my lats, okay? Not my arms. Now, the second exercise that people do wrong is the underhand lat pull down. That is another common exercise that people get wrong. They do this incorrectly when they're using underhand. Is when they're going down, they're rounding forward and they're kind of like bobbing their body forward, or they're rounding their back too much and just using their arms way too much, okay? You're increasing your kyphosis, which basically means you're rounding your back excessively and you're training your back to be in that position, and you're using muscles that shouldn't otherwise be using, okay? So the second way that people do it wrong, which looks like they're doing it right, is they're nice and upright, but again, they're still using their arms, okay? So how do you do this correctly? How do you do the underhand lat pull down correctly? Same concept. You pop your chest out, you allow the weight to stretch you a little bit first, and then when you pull down, you drive with your elbows, you squeeze your back as hard as you can, and then as you're going up, you keep your chest up nice and erect, your spine nice and erect, and then you allow the weight to pull you up like you're playing tug of war, but you're using your back to control the weight up, all right? Start with very light weight. Don't go heavy. You really want to make sure you can squeeze your back. Once you've felt what it feels like to activate and squeeze your back muscles, then you can take it over to the heavier weights. But start with something light. Allow your body to really get stretched out your back to get stretched out as it's coming forward. So when I'm squeezing at the bottom, the very first thing I'm focusing on as I'm going back up is how my back is starting to stretch out, all right? And then when I'm going down, I'm focusing on the squeeze. I'm focusing, as I'm going back up, on the stretch. Squeeze and stretch, squeeze and stretch, all right? No arms, all back, all elbows. And then the third exercise that people do wrong when it comes down to back exercises is going to be the seated cable row, okay? Same concept. A lot of people, you're gonna see this over and over again. This looks like I'm doing it right, but a lot of people are just pulling with their arms. They're not engaging your back. So I'm sure you can guess it already. How do you engage your back? By focusing on keeping your chest up, allowing your arms to stretch, focusing your back, and then when you pull, you're squeezing your back and you're really pinching your shoulder blades together and you're really holding that position for a quick few seconds so that you know what it feels like, and then you're controlling the stretch back into it as you're doing the eccentric portion and really engaging your lats, okay? So a lot of people mess this up by rounding their back too much, pulling with their arms, okay? So if you don't know how to fix this problem, make sure you watch How to Fix Your Hunchback video. I discuss how to attack your thoracic spine, how to mobilize your thoracic spine, how to stretch out your lats, and how to stretch out your pecs so that you can engage your back a lot more, all right? So you wanna make sure, again, with all these movements, you're focusing on keeping a nice upright position. When you're stretching that eccentric portion, you're feeling a nice deep stretch in your lats, and then when you're pulling, you're squeezing your back, okay? And then I'll switch over to a different video just to show you one bonus video for the bent row. This is another exercise that I get wrong, but it's the same concept, all right? Don't round your back. Make sure you're engaging everything else so that you can properly do this correctly. So let's go over and watch the other video. Now the third exercise that you're gonna do right after this is the bent over plate row. Now a lot of people are gonna get this wrong, all right? You wanna make sure you're not rounding your back and pulling with your arms, all right? You don't wanna do that. If you do that, you're not gonna feel your back. A lot of times I don't give bent over row to my clients because a lot of them have really weak core, have really weak glutes, and they can't hold themselves upright in this position even with 25-pound weights. So what you could do instead is you could jump onto a bench, put it on the incline, get your chest at the edge of the bench, widen out your stance almost like you're doing the same thing with your feet out, butt out, chest out, driving, pulling with the dumbbell, squeezing your back, controlling the weight down, and really playing with the tempo, really feeling with your back. One of the key ways to do this exercise correctly is to drive with your elbow, pop your chest, and squeeze your back as hard as you can. If you don't feel it in your back, you're doing it wrong. Stop doing it and feel your back before you continue on with the exercise, all right? Do a few exercises in midair just to feel and activate your back and just translate it over, right? To do it with the plate, it's the same mechanic. Stick your butt out. It's almost like the hip hinge in a deadlift. Same exact mechanics. If you don't know how to do a deadlift, watch my easiest way to learn how to do a deadlift video. That's going to teach you how to get into that hip hinge position so that when you pull, you're really squeezing your back and you're really feeling it through the whole movement, all right? Very, very important, but if your core is weak, if your glutes are weak, chances are you're gonna do this exercise wrong. But use a mirror, feel your back, and make sure you're pushing your hips out, keeping your core tight. Those are the fundamentals, all right? Okay, so again, I hope you enjoyed all the videos that I shared with you today. Those are the top 3 or 4 exercises that I see, back exercise that I see performed the most often incorrectly, okay? And what are the things you need to watch out for? Don't round your back when you're doing these. Keep a thoracically extended position, chest up. Focus on driving with your elbows, getting a nice deep stretch in your lats, and then at the squeezing point, you wanna make sure you really squeeze your back together. Keep everything nice and neutral, your chin tucked, everything nice and tight. And that is how you really engage your back properly and not mess up this exercise, okay? So don't pull with your arms. Make sure you have enough thoracic mobility so that you can get it into extension and squeeze your back, okay? So those are the top 3 exercises. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support me, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel because I got a lot more stuff coming out. and then share it with a friend. And if you're looking for some fitness programs or some posture programs, check out my website. Got some cool stuff over there, okay? So once again, this is Kevin, and have a wonderful day. Peace.